So today I wanted to talk about how does one make value within them. And to start this off, I want to ask you people, what does worth in itself, the word worth, mean to you guys? What is the definition of worth? It's
I don't know.
kind of a hard word.
Confused.
Yeah. So like what
self-worth
is
then?
Are you asking the definition like word or worth? Like
Worth.
something is
What
worth
your
Worth.
something
worth,
or
your
this is a
value or
word?
something, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
No problem. It's
I guess
quite a
we
hard word.
understand what the panda guy said. The value of something.
So it's kind of similar to the word value, isn't it?
I think so, yeah, I think it's the same,
Well, it's not completely the same. That's why there's different words like worth and value. But it's not the complete same, but it's somewhat similar. I wrote down the definition of worth for this topic or like this talk. And what I picked up on the internet is that it is the level at which someone deserves to be valued at. So it's the level where one should be valued at. So also like the definition is also kind of not 100% clear on that. But maybe I could also talk about this topic with another story yet again. Story time with Ristal.
Bedtime
So,
stories. Look, I'm really tired today, so I will fall asleep.
yes,
Say this
I
again.
will make you fall asleep. So this is Taoistic recognition, belonging, usefulness. And that's true. Those are really good words too. Recognition, belonging, usefulness. And we will talk about those perhaps if we have time today. I started my session a little bit late, so sorry for that. But I wanted to share a story about a Taoistic story about a crooked tree. And the story goes that there once was upon a time where there was a forest. And in this forest, there were a lot of different trees. Now, the main character of this story is a tree that was crooked. They were crooked from their entire childhood all the way to their adulthood. And they had it all. They were healthy, they were smart, and they had a good spot in the forest. But they got bullied by other people or other trees around them because they were not tall, they were not straight, and they weren't beautiful because they looked different from other trees. So they got always bullied by these traits. The first tree said, "Oh, look at this tree. This tree is so short that it will never be anything that to recognize with." The second tree said that this tree is so curved that it will never have any use because it is not straight and it's crooked. The third tree said that this tree is so different from all of us others that is so ugly that no one will ever recognize them. And then there became a time when the forest started having humans in them. And then the humans started looking at the trees and they started examining the trees. And they first examined the first tree that the first bully was. And they said, "Oh, this tree is so tall that it will be really great to cut it down and make use for something. For our purposes." The second tree was also examined and they thought that this tree is so... Well, the first tree... Did I say straight? I think so. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that means gay. Okay, got
Yeah.
you. Got you.
And
right.
then
Got you.
then the second tree was examined by their tallness, and because of them being tall, they thought that okay, this is a really great tree to cut down and be used for our uses. And then the third tree was examined and seen as really beautiful one, and it was also cut down because it was a really beautiful one. Now all the other trees got cut down from the forest, and the only tree that got left behind was the crooked tree, because they were not tall, they were straight, and they were not beautiful. Now all of the trees around them got killed off, and they weren't existent anymore. And then the forest got populated yet again with smaller trees, and this crooked tree became the oldest tree in the entire forest. And with their own life experience and the oldness, they gained wisdom, love, and compassion for all other trees. And they started teaching other trees how to be happy, how to be compassionate, how to be loving, and how to be kind, and all kinds of good, wholesome virtues. And the other trees started believing that, so all wholesome, good trees are crooked, they are short, and they are not beautiful. So these are virtues, and these are things that should be valued. These kind of aspects of a tree, of a good tree. Now, if you can see from this story itself, when one has great values, they are not always great, because sometimes the great values can get you also killed. It's just like the trees themselves. But then also, like, when you have bad values, or so to speak, bad values with them, with yourself, they can also be used for good use. It is only from the perspective that you evaluate yourself and other people. So if you have the perspective that you evaluate all people by height, then all the short people will not be great. If you evaluate all people by being able to speak Chinese, then all people who cannot speak Chinese are not great. So if you start evaluating people by different metrics, you start seeing that there's not a lot of things to value it. But when one lives their own life and they examine other people, it is quite common that when you examine your friends, you examine the people that you barely know, you only see, like, for example, only the good values in them. And then you create the absolute perfect version of them, even though that you completely don't understand that they also have problems and they also have issues and they are not perfect. But you create within your own mind the most perfect person of them others, and then you can see the own imperfections within yourself. That you are not smart, you are not fast, because there's always someone smarter, there's always someone faster. And then you think that, I'm not smart, I'm not fast, there's always someone smarter. So you start devaluating yourself and valuating others, even though the others that you have valuated that are really high, they might look at you and see like that there's something valuable within you that they think about you. For example, like one might think that I am not that fast, so I'm not that valuable, but the other person might say that, like, I'm not that smart as the other person who's not that fast, so I'm not that valuable. So it's like a repeating cycle itself. But a key notion from this is that when one does start evaluating or giving value on people by external, like, valuations, like, for example, height, or test scores, job, money, or these kind of things that are not 100% in one's own value, then, or like in one's control, then they kind of get a loose sense of touch with reality itself, because value is not created externally by other people's valuation. It is created within, from internally, within your own heart. Because some people get so thirsty with valuation, they do all kinds of things. They put the most beautiful makeup, they get the coolest cars, they try to get the best angles on their photos for Instagram and so on, but just to like quench their thirst for the thirst of getting evaluated and getting attention from other people, because that's the only way that they will feel like they are actually valued something. But when one finds the value within and understands that the value is only made within oneself, and it's an illusion to find value from other people, one starts to quench the thirst for getting valued by other people, and there's no need for thinking that like, when I'm going to die, am I going to be valued? And I would say that like, if you have friends that feel like that they valued enough, that will they be remembered after that? I would say that it's mostly like an emotional like reaction, because they are sharing that with you, and I would quite expect that you are a person that they value, like in general. So like, you will be a person who will remember them like after their death. So it's kind of paradoxical that like one says that will I be valued when they speak to a person who will remember them after their death. So it's mostly like an emotional reaction. And when one has a really emotional reaction that makes these kind of delusions, the only thing that you can do is just to listen and to be on their side and to understand them, and that they start feeling that they're understood and they're listened to, because that's something that is something that all people try for, that they are understood and they are valued. But also like maybe at some point teaching them too that like that one's own value does not come externally, because like for example, like if we say that like what your worth is, like the more Instagram followers you have or TikTok followers, the more valuable you are. Well, then we could say that the most beautiful person that ever existed in the 15th century, they wouldn't be that valuable, because you're putting a metric on them that is completely impossible to get across. But yeah, what do you guys think about that? Do you guys think that like that's something that's possible, to start finding the worth within without examining the external world? Couple of nods.
Because other people see other things as values. What you said, someone sees this as more value than the other one. So, otherwise you have to look at them. Okay, I need to do this and that. No, just care about your own values. Fuck everyone else.
Of course, not completely making it so that not citing their other people's like comments, like completely muted them, but still understanding that there's a difference. There can be some great wisdom in your friends' comments, but completely understanding that, hey, like they are not the verses that make me valuable. It comes from within, that I am valuable for myself, within myself. And if someone starts their own journey with self-valuation, I would say that they can start with their own body and understanding that their body is made out of things that are within this world itself, like materiology. Like, because some people have like really much self-hate and they don't like themselves. I'm so dumb, I'm so poor, I'm so short. But at what point, like if you look at a sandwich that you're going to eat, like do you have the same valuations on the sandwich itself? Like no, like the sandwich is a sandwich, it's nothing special really. But once you eat that, and like at what point does it really become you? Because at some point the sandwich becomes you, and then it becomes your body, and then you start hating the sandwich that you ate. And then you're like, this sandwich is so dumb. compare yourself only with who you are yesterday, become a better person than you are being. That's very true. I also like that too. That if you want to start comparing yourself to something, if you start comparing yourself to other people, it makes you quite delusional, quite easy. But yes, if you start comparing yourself to the person who you were yesterday, that is the closest that you are, and that's the most realistic comparison that you can actually make. That if you put some metrics on yourself, that tomorrow I strive to grow in my life, it's in general to be more kind, more loving, or more wealthy, or more smarter, or stronger, then you can only compare yourself to the person yesterday or the person that you were last week or last month, and seeing if you have any growth in that general aspect itself. Do you guys struggle with self-worth? Couple of nods. I used to struggle myself too with self-worth.
I'm not
I
really
may be
sure where I'm
attacked
at with it
this
right now.
speech, but
Hmm?
I said I feel attacked by the things you say. Yeah, I have that kind of like sometimes I I'm
Yeah,
like you're
absolutely.
such a dumb, like you're such a dumb
Yeah.
dot.
Yeah,
Using
yeah,
my
yeah.
own, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like sometimes I feel like God. Sometimes I feel like a piece of shit. Like I don't know. It's weird with me.
Yeah. You have like those
I'm just
days when you
trying
have
to
the
find
God
argument.
complex, and then you have those days when you're
I'm like,
absolutely
yes.
just yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Hmm. I also have
But
those
if you
kind
look
of
at
days too.
ourselves, we tend to only look at the negative things. Never really
That's
look
true.
at the positive things. And that's,
Yeah,
That's
it's a
very
bad
true.
thing because there's a lot of
too.
positives.
I think everybody gets lost in the negative, like you said, I'm so short or whatever. Okay, but what about the good? What are you good at?
But I think that the most valuable thing that you can learn is that it's actually within, like, when you meditate. That's why we meditate, is to notice how does the mind itself work. And a lot of people like attach these emotions of good, bad, and neutral, these hedonic feelings, to the objects themselves. Like, for example, like the way that you commented to the other person, or the way that you look, and then you like have an emotion with that, and it's connected with that. But it's actually not connected there. It's like, on a neuroscientific point of view, like, it's actually a different part of your entire brain itself that reacts or like puts the valuation on, for example, your face, like how beautiful is your face and what kind of emotions spring up to you. Because your face is just the face. There's actually nothing there, but you create the meaning on a different part of your brain itself. That is it like positive, negative, or neutral, or something between that all. And when one meditates, they start understanding that it's just, things are just things, like, and it's just a human like creation. Like, deers don't look at each other and be like, you look so dumb, I hate you. It's like, no, you look so pretty.
You don't know.
Imagine.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Getting. Oh my god.
They don't have
Yeah.
sentience. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but
Imagine like hamsters bullying each other.
yeah. Yes, that's so true. But like, it's only a human invention. It's just created by us. It's created by you. You are the one that creates if like your face is beautiful or not, or if it's neutral or not, and if it's like ugly or not. It's you, and it's actually happens in a different part of your own brain. And like, when you notice that that's happening within you, first is to notice that, and then at that point, when you're able to start noticing it, then you can start actually understanding that, hey, this is a different part. There's nothing in my face that is positive or negative or anything. It's just my face. It's just my face. The reality is just the reality, and it's a filter. It's just like a camera filter that you put on something. That it's just a filter that you put on a thing, and it's just the reality is just the way that the reality is. And if you want, you can, at an awakened state, you can put whatever filters you want on whatever things that you want. But the time is kind of running out for my speech, but